Hi and welcome to this video in the QPSMR Insight Going Deeper series. And in this video we're going to be looking at how you carry out target weighting. In the previous video, number 44, there was a discussion on different types of weighting that you might want to apply, but this is really now going straight into how you carry out different levels of target weighting in QPSMR Insight, and it's video number 45. So let's look at some examples and then see how we implement them. And I've got some prepared script for each of these examples. And in the previous video, the simplest sort of target weighting we looked at was one level or one question target weighting, where you perhaps have got males and females and you want to weight them to a ratio of 50-50. So let's go to our project and let's open it up. Alright, so we've got a variable here called gender, or a question called gender, and let's say we want to weight our data to 50-50. So let's just quickly run a table to see what we've got in that gender question. And let's run that table. We can see we've got 7 males and 6 females. So if we want to implement target weighting, I've already got a script here prepared that will do it. We need to call that script the same name as the QDF. So I'm going to delete the one we've got here, and I'm going to actually open up this file here, which has got the target weighting in. And you can see all I put in is on the first line, I put the question or the variable that I want to weight to, and then on the next line, separated by a comma, the two targets of 50 and 50. Now I have to rename that file to the same name as the QDF. So if we call it weighting.wgt, and now we run that table again, you can see what it does. It just checks with me to see whether I want to weight to those targets in the WGT file. If I say no, it will just give me the same figures unweighted. If I run them again but say yes, because it's found that WGT file, here's what it does. It says, okay, I've got 13 respondents. I'm going to scale them up to the 100 because we've got 50 males and 50 females. So my 7 males will get a weight of 50 divided by 7, and my 6 females will get a weight of 50 divided by 6. And sure enough, I've now got a total base of 100, and they're showing as 50-50. So that's the sort of first level of weighting where you just want one question to come into play. Let's move on to the next example where we've got 2 levels, and in here, as I perhaps said in the previous video, we've got the interlocking cells. So this is not rim weighting where you've just got the totals for gender and for age. We've actually got the numbers we want for each gender within each of the 3 age groups. So I want 10 males who are 16 to 34, 20 who are 35 to 54, and 30 or 55 plus, and 30, 40, 50 for the relevant female cells. So let's again go through this process, and let's just rename this here again as _1, and rename this as just weighting.wgt. So that's the one it will pick up now, the one that's got 2 in it. Let's look at what we've got in here to remind ourselves how we do it. So now we've got 2 variables. We've got gender and age. And if you imagine that as a matrix with gender down the left-hand side and age across the top, just as I've got in my spreadsheet here that had those examples. Let's go back to my examples. This is what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to get these targets here. So gender, age across the top, 10, 20, 30, 30, 40, 50. There it is in the code form that you need in a WGT file, gender, age, 10, 20, 30, 30, 40, 50. So now if I quit that and I run a table again, and let's do age by gender. So let's do a table which has gender down the side, age across the top. Now let's run that unweighted. So I'm going to say no to the weighting here. And sure enough, there's my 13 respondents. There you can see I've got 3 that age group, 2 here, 2 here, and then 2 for all the others. Now if I apply my weighting, run it again, but yeah, yes, sure enough now it scales these all up so that I get 10 in here, 20 in here, 30 in here, 30, 40, 50, which as a consequence of having those interlocking cells give me 60, 120, 40, 60, 80 here, which is exactly what we summed up here. So that's how we do a second level of weighting. Now the third level, we have to make it two-dimensional to achieve this. So here what I'm going to do is do age within gender and region. So I've made it effectively two-dimensional by having a variable that would do age within gender. And then I can just do it pretty much like I did before, but with a little twist to it. So let's close this off now and rename this. Call that _2. And rename this file here as just weighting, so it picks up this file. Let's have a look at it and see what we have to do to get those 3 dimensions. Now here I say gender, age and region, and then I've got these columns of figures. What that's going to imply is that I'm going to input my figures as the ages within the genders, just like I have on this spreadsheet. So here I've got the 3 ages within male, the 3 ages within female, and then if you like, across the top, I've got north, south, and the figures go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So that's what I've done here. That's assuming that I want age within gender and region across the top, and there's reading the figures across 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Let's run that as a table now. Let's take the previous table away. Now I've got a variable here which helps me to do this. So let's pick gender age and let's pick region across the top. And gender age has already got age within gender defined in a variable for me. Click OK. Don't use the weighting. So there's the figures I'm getting. 2 in this cell and 1 in all of the others, so that's my sample of 13. Now if I run it again but say I do want the weighting, sure enough I get my 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 30, 40, 50, which as a result of that gives me 240 in the north, 300 in the south, which is exactly what I expected here. So here we look at our figures here, 240 and 300 in the south. But that, of course, doesn't tell me within so easily what I've got. I could add up the male figures here and say 30 plus 70 goes 110 is 210. And there enough, sure enough, are my 210 males. The 16 to 34-year-olds, I should get 100. Well, I've got 30 here and 70 there. In fact, I've made this all a little bit easier because I've actually got a variable again, which is gender with an age within region. And if I weight that, you can see I get exactly what I expect here in my totals. So that gives me the totals here for each of those cells for me, so that I can just check them off. I can see 210, 330, 100, 180, 260, and 240, 300, which matches exactly what I've got in here. 100, 180, 260, 180, 260. So all my figures do look correct. So that completes this short video on doing weighting to 1, 2, and 3 variables. You can do 4 and 5 or 6 variables if you want to. You'd have to use the same sort of technique to make it two-dimensional. So rather than having age within gender down here, if you wanted a 4th variable, you might do age within gender within region, and you might put social grade across the top. But again, it's important to remember that if you start using target weighting, you shouldn't be spreading your samples so thin that they get weights that are too high or too low, and you should always check the weights that you're using before you go any further. So that's a quick overview of how you apply weights to target weighting type. If you want rim weighting, that has to be done in the QPS companion. There is a complex method of doing that by using script, but that really is quite complex to use, and you need quite a good knowledge. It's just as easy to do that, in fact, in MRDCL. So thanks for joining me on this video. I hope it was helpful for you doing target weighting.